This is a tutorial for the early access game Avalon Lords Dawn Rises. Specifically, it's a tutorial on how to use the lobby. As you can see, there is a ton of information on this screen, which has confused quite a few new players to the game. Hopefully, by the time this tutorial is done, you'll have a better idea of how to use this screen. So when you first load the game, this is your opening screen, and as you can see, it's the Overview tab. The next tab is the Empire tab. This is a completely different mode from the other two modes that are here, and to access that mode, you have to click that tab to go there. I'll deal with more with that in a few minutes. The third tab is the Ladder tab, which basically shows you where you stack up against all the other players in the game. There are 5 categories that it shows you, and it's not overly important to the game itself, but if you want to know where you rank compared to everybody else, this is where you need to go. The fourth tab is the Settings tab. Here you've got all your in-game settings. I like to play with no volume, so that's why my sliders are all the way to the left. Enable taunts is a new feature in the game, and it's quite hilarious. So I would suggest you at least play with the volume loud enough that when you want to taunt somebody by hitting the V key on your keyboard, you can hear what Indy has to say. Clan tag is not in the game yet, so you can ignore that. Monitor, I play on a laptop, so I have no choice. It's display 1 for me. Screen resolution, 1366 by 768 seems to work the best for most people that I've talked to. It certainly works on my run-of-the-mill laptop. I play on high quality. It works fine for me, so I haven't changed it. Then you've got move speed, rotate speed. These are all for the camera, and zoom speed. I like to keep my zoom speed a little bit low because I tend to take a lot of screenshots, and it lets me be able to fine tune my field of view a little better. Now, vertical sync and render effects, all of these, as you can see right here, if you disable some of these effects, you should see an increase in your frames per second. However, the game won't look as good. But if you have a low-end computer, the developers are recommending that you disable a few of these. Then to save it, you hit save and close, and you're done there. So let's go back to overview. So this is usually in-game news, but at the moment, it's where you will find a bunch of different tutorials for this game. If you are new to this game, and specifically if you are new to RTS games in general, I highly recommend that you go and watch these tutorials before you try to play the game. I think you will be much less frustrated with how the game works if you've already watched the tutorials. Down here, we've got different event news. You'll see stuff like, this is the latest build, these are the bugs we fixed. Here is where they post the videos from the streams that happen 5 times a week. Down here you've got the chat box, and you have 2 options there. You can be in faction chat or world chat. Here are the players who are currently online. These are the matches that are currently being played in game. As you can see, there's an Empire mode match and 2 conflict mode matches. You can tell that they are not joinable because you see this little eye beside the type of match. That tells you that the person is already playing. If you do click this match, it will take you into spectator mode. In order to be able to play a match that you see listed here, over under players, it needs to give you a number like 1 out of 6 or 2 out of 6. If it says in game, that match is not joinable other than as a spectator. And here it shows you the ping that the people are playing at. So here we have conflict mode, which is your build a city, do research, build troops, build defenses, spy on your neighbors, taunt your neighbors mode, essentially. It usually takes a little bit longer to play than a battle mode game, but it's my favorite. This is battle mode. Again, no building, no research. All you do is basically send your troops against your enemy and hope they live. These two modes are practice modes. I don't really use those anymore. And I really think that even if you're new to the game, you can start in either of these modes, but just make sure you set the CPU that you're playing against to easy, or that you're playing against somebody who isn't going to annihilate you in the first couple of minutes. Over here, it shows your in-game name, your faction. There are 5 to choose from currently. What level you've achieved. As you can see, I'm a fairly high level because I've been a tester since October. Then there's a bunch of other buttons, overview, daily achievements or daily quests, whatever they're calling them now. Shows you where you're at, your statistics, how many kills you've had, how many deaths you've had, how many match wins, how many match losses. I don't really worry about these two because as a tester, a lot of the times I go in the game and then I stop the game before I play it. And that does count as a loss. So down here, these are the specializations that I've chosen out of the specialization tree. Every time you win a game, you are given honor, and you can use the honor to spend on these different things. As you can see, I've focused on endurance and haste, and I've also done a few offensive damage and defensive tactics and combat efficiency. Then you move over to Citadel Lord, and you have a choice of improving structure health, quicker repairs, building time reduced, and it goes on. Lord of Coin, over here, I did supply chain first because you can never have enough resources. This is the one for all the resources, and then it also gets broken up into specific resources, excuse me. So let's go to conflict mode. Here you can see the hotkeys for in-game. That should say Alt, not Super. So this is your typical conflict mode screen. Over here on the maps, there are technically 2 maps, the Avalonian Plains and the Scattered Islands. Scattered Islands is only 4 players total, or 2 players versus 2 players, depending on how you're playing. But I would highly recommend, if you're new to the game, start with Avalonian Plains. It's a bigger map, it's an easier map to navigate around, and we've had it for a while, and it's a nice map. You'll like it. So, under game options, you can choose free for all, or you can choose team. If I choose free for all, as you can see, all the slots have different colored flags. That means it's me against them against themselves. So it's literally an every man for himself. So depending on where they are on the map, this CPU could attack this CPU first, this CPU could come and attack me first, or this one could. It's just luck of the draw. If I do team, then you'll see the flags all change. So this is my team, we're all some variety of red, and this is our enemy, who are all some variety of like a greeny blue color. You can switch. This is the default spot. I'm going to go back to free for all for this because it's easier to show you. You can switch which place you are on the map. So right now I'm in the default spot, but let's say I want to play the bottom left corner of the map, which I happen to know is this slot right here. I can hover over this little arrow here. Oh, actually I have to get rid of the CPU first. I can hover over these little arrows here. It will tell me to request this position, and I click yes, and it moves me down there. Then I can put another CPU up here. I can get rid of this guy and request this position, which is going to put me in the middle. Basically, the way these slots work is if you were to take this map and superimpose these slots over top of it, you would have a general idea of where they are. The only difference is these two, which are actually reversed. So the middle slot is the bottom, and the bottom slot is the middle. But on this side, it goes yellow, teal, purple, red, blue, neon green. Okay, so, oh, I guess I should talk about this. if you're new to the game, start with easy. Play one CPU. Don't go crazy off the bat. Because if you go crazy right off the bat, you're going to find that you're going to get your butt kicked. So easy difficulty to start, one CPU, be whatever slot you want, but start with easy. If you want even more time to build your city, start in the default slot and put the CPU down here, bottom right corner. Because what that's going to do is it's going to put you right here where the word map is, and it's going to put the CPU way down here in this bottom corner. So it's going to give you a lot longer to get a handle on the game and building your base and understanding what you need before that CPU is going to come attack you. Now, as for the duration of the match, you have quite a few options. All the way to the left is no limit. The middle-ish, the left side, but not all the way, is about 45 minutes. It's a little tricky. And if you go all the way to the right, you get 3 hours. I like to play on no limit, especially if I'm playing versus multiple CPUs on a harder setting. Resources. So if you're new to the game, I recommend always putting them on high, because until you get an idea of exactly what you're doing, you're going to want lots of resources. Population cap for if you're playing versus one CPU on easy difficulty, 300 is probably plenty. As you play more and more CPUs and you up the difficulty for, like, say, Nightmare, I play with an unlimited population, because that's what the CPUs do, and let me tell you, they send a lot of troops at you. Now down here, treasures, if you click this, what will happen when you get in game is around your base you will see a bunch of little treasure chests. You can send peasants to them by left clicking the peasant and then right clicking the treasure, and that peasant will go and open that treasure and you will get some form of a resource from it. So let's say you open a treasure chest and it has wood in it, you'll get 5,000 wood. So if you're stuck and you're fighting CPUs, sometimes that can really help. Fog of War, I would recommend leaving it off, because if you turn it on, then you can't see where your enemy is. I know the map, so it doesn't bother me whether it's on or off. But if you're new, I would definitely turn it off. Private match just means that nobody can spectate your match, and a password match is if you're waiting for friends to play. I never use either of those. So then you can click save. Oh, I left Fog of War on. If you need to change something, you just click edit, come back here, change it, save and close. So there you can see I'm in free for all. I have no limit for my time. My resources are high, no treasures, 300 pop cap, no fog of war, no private match, no password. See how it says ready here? If you're playing a live player, you have to wait till everybody says ready before you can hit start. Let's say you decide you don't want to play this match now, you hit retreat and it will take you back. While you're setting up this match, you've got 4 chat options. Match, so anybody that's joined you will be able to chat here. You've got team, if you're playing a team match versus a free-for-all. Faction, so anybody in Norworth can read what I type here because that's my faction. Or world, which means everybody can see it. So let's say I decide I've changed my mind and I don't want to play conflict. I want to play battle mode. So then I'm going to hit retreat, and it's going to ask me if I really want to leave. Yes, I do. Here's the hotkeys again. This should be alt, not super. Excuse me. So now I'm going to show you how to set up battle mode. It's very similar to setting up conflict mode, but you have to build an army first. So I'm going to stick a CPU there. As you can see, free for all or team. Go back to Avalon Plains for the map. Now, time-wise, in battle mode, you probably won't need no limit. And I think an hour and 25 would be probably way more than you'll need too, because you can't build any armies once you're in it. You build your army first and then you play. So I don't play on 8 very often. I rarely play 16. If I'm going to do it, I play with 24 for my army size. That gives you 24 units. Fog of War, again, if you're new, I would turn it off. Password's the same, private's the same. Now, if you come down here to army selection, you are given a default set of 24 troops. If you're new, I would play with that. Pick it and hit start. Again, if you're new, I would still play on easy. But the default selection of 24 for easy should be more than enough to kill the CPU. As you can see, I have a couple of different size armies ready. And then I have another army down here that was from a different battle mode that was set in the game that is no longer here. So let's say I don't want to play battle mode anymore. I hit retreat. Yes, I really want to leave the room. And now we're going to click the Empire tab. As you can see, there's a lot more people in game right now. So now we're going to get taken to the Empire screen. This is the newest mode in the game, and unfortunately it still has a fair number of bugs in it. So I would recommend sticking with conflict or battle mode in the beginning until you know more about the game and how to play. So this is the Empire mode screen. These little hexes are chunks of territory that are owned by different factions. You can see this one's yellow, this is red, there's a blue down here, there's some green over here. It shows Norworth on here because that's my faction. It shows recent territory gains. I took Wigmore territory, I took Wigmore, I took Avalon or Avion, Artist took Avon, and then the territory that we lost. Backham took our territory twice. Cadona Johnson took some territory, Bologna, etc. You want to play Empire, you click Fight, and it takes you to a fight. It will give you, I think it's 30 seconds, to choose whether you want to play or not. If you choose not to play, so battle for a sector 8-7, I'm in the battle, and it's going to put me against CPUs. Obviously, it's more than 30 seconds. If a live player doesn't join up and I don't want to play versus CPUs, I can just hit leave and it takes me back to the overview screen eventually. Oh, I'm sorry, it takes me back to Empire mode and then I can go to overview from there. So that's probably about it. That's how it all works. I may do other tutorials later, but that's it for now. Hope it was helpful.